Welcome everyone to 2D4 Damage. This is a show about all things RPG, everything from games to mechanics, to the lore of the world, to writing within them, or just our love of dice and minis. My name is Dave Knighton, I am the host, and each week I'll be joined by a new co-host to discuss one of these many topics. This week I'm lucky enough to be joined by David Morris. David is the owner of Rocky Mountain not Rocky Mountain RPG Guild, Mount Ogden Gaming. We already had Derek from Rocky Mountain. No, you do a lot of work with us at Rocky Mountain and Under the Wing Gaming, and then you also do a lot of writing.
Yeah, I do a little writing,
a little dabbling here and there. Yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Give us a history of you.
Wow, a history of me.
History of you and your history of gaming. And
I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons for a while. Since I was about 6 is when I first started playing. So that's some time.
That's a long time.
I mean, it's not that long. Let's calm down. But yeah, so I've played, of course, Dungeons and Dragons, Vampire, Palladium Rifts, like everything. So yeah, pretty sweet and stuff. So.
You brought your little one with you?
Yeah,
sweet.
It's part of the thing.
So, what are you currently playing?
So right now I'm playing some Genysis. We're doing a Rifts game in Genysis. Rifts has its own system normally, but we're converting it over, or reimagining it in that system.
Yeah.
Oh no! Now there's sound.
Now there's sound.
Okay, can you go out there and do the sound? Or you want to go in the house? Yeah. Okay, great. So you can cut all that, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
no, we're gonna keep it all in there.
Oh, okay, great. Well, we got to fill the out.
We got it. That's right. We got to fill the hour. So let's go ahead and talk about writing.
Writing.
You do a lot of writing with your Mount Ogden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do a fair amount of writing. I've written a few adventures for the Adventurers League CCC program.
Mm-hmm.
Then I've got a couple other things I'm working on that is fun. Turn it down. Okay.
All right. So that was fun.
Yeah.
Thanks for standing by there. A little bit of a blip there. So talk to us about Esper Genesis. Let's start with Esper Genesis.
Okay, Esper Genesis. Esper Genesis is a really cool system. It's a sci-fi setting, sci-fi like science fantasy, I would call it. Using the 5th edition rule set. It's really cool. They got an organized play called Crucible Corps, and they've got 7 or 8 adventures out now, and there'll be a bunch more after Gamehole Con this coming weekend.
Yeah.
So that should be pretty cool. Yeah.
So what's your experience with writing? Have you had a chance to actually dive into the writing within the Esper Genesis, the system itself?
No.
No?
I can't answer that.
Cannot answer that.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what is it that makes Esper Genesis? I mean, you said it was running the 5th edition rule set, so it uses the SRD. So very, very similar to 5th edition D&D 5th edition.
It's very similar. The Rich, the main creative on it, he worked with a lot of folks, and I mean knows a lot of folks over at Wizards pretty well, and he consulted with them also on it, and to make sure that it stayed really close to the design principles of 5th edition. So I'd say it's probably of the third party settings, it's probably the one that sticks closest to how D&D works. One difference would be some of the weapons and things I'd say are a little deadlier But aside from that, yeah, it stays really close to.
The mechanics are all very similar.
Oh yeah, and the layout and everything. You can just pick it up. You don't have to. You don't have to try to guess where everything is. It will feel very comfortable. So.
Okay. All right. So nothing else you can tell us about Esper Genesis as far as games that are potentially coming out, mods that are potentially coming out?
There's definitely some coming out next weekend.
Oh, okay.
One of them will be really good.
One of them will be good.
I'm sure the other ones will be good too. But
one of them will. You're for sure that one of them will be really good.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I hope so.
Okay. Other system that I know that you've been writing within that you like to play is the Genysis system. Now, what is the difference between Genysis and Esper Genesis?
So they're not related at all, other than
Genesis.
The word Genesis.
But they're not even spelled the same.
But they're not spelled the same. The Genysis system uses a Y. It's also sometimes called the narrative dice system.
Okay.
So it uses a similar system to the Star Wars game by Fantasy Flight Games. Genesis is also by them. And I say it's similar because they've, from the time they put out Edge of the Empire, then they did Age of Rebellion, and finally Force and Destiny. Through that work, they kind of refined the process and the idea, and so it's what came out of all that experience from creating that. So I think it's really good system. It's really open. It doesn't have like classes. If you're familiar with Star Wars, you pick a career, and it's got like a talent tree that sort of lays out what abilities are available for you. This one doesn't. It uses a talent pyramid instead, and so you're able you fill it in yourself. It's not dictated by whatever career you're in. So it's really open as far as customizing your character.
Okay. So as far as the mechanics itself, for those that only know 5th edition, how would you go about explaining how the mechanics work for Genesis?
Okay, so I think the thing people notice straight away is that it uses funny dice. The dice are like, D12, D10, and D6, I think, or D8, excuse me. D12, D8, and D6.
Okay.
But they don't have numbers on them. They have different little symbols. And those symbols represent there's success, advantage, and triumph. Those are your good symbols. And then there's failure, there's a disadvantage, and despair are your not so good symbols. And there's a couple, some of the dice have some blank spots also.
Okay.
And the way that kind of works is they sort of cancel out, like the success cancels out the failure. So you build a dice pool based on your ability and whether you're proficient in a skill. And then that. Some little background music there.
Right.
No.
Oh. My goodness.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. Okay. So you build the dice pool from that. And then the GM will say, hey, this is what the difficulty is. And so you add negative dice based on that, the dice with those negative symbols on them. And then when you roll them, you cancel them out. Whatever you have left with tells you whether you succeeded or failed. But the exciting part about the system is that you can succeed at something, but then with the disadvantage or the despair symbols, they change the narrative somehow. Maybe some more enemies show up, or your gun runs out of ammo, or whatever. And that kind of explains the dice pool itself. Part of that labor of figuring out how to read the results are placed on the players also. So if you get a triumph, then I'm going to ask you what you want to do with that.
Oh, okay.
What does that triumph mean? Or maybe even what does that despair mean?
So it pulls in the players' more as far as opening up the actual outcome of whatever's going on.
Yeah, for sure.
So as far as new players, how easy would it be for a new player to jump into that?
So I think it's pretty easy for new players to jump in. There's some cool, especially if you grab like one of the Star Wars beginner games and you start there. They don't yet have a starter, a beginner box for just Genesis yet.
Yeah.
Well, and part of that is Genesis by itself is a generic system. It doesn't have like a setting attached to it. You're meant to like bring your own setting.
Okay.
They do have a couple of settings they've released. Realms of Terranoth, which is set in their same setting as like the Descent board game, or I think Discworld is also in that same setting. So if you're familiar with that, that would be really easy to get into.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have Shadows of the Beanstalk, which is sort of a cyberpunk style setting. So you can grab either of those, but neither of those have yet a beginner box. So I think that would be the next thing you should make, Fantasy Flight games. Or they do have
been called out.
Yeah. So it takes not everybody's got the money and the number of people on staff as like Wizards of the Coast does. So it's a little harder. But also they do have the Foundry, which is people that play D&D may be familiar with the DM's Guild. On the Foundry, you can produce content and release it there. So somebody could make a beginner adventure there also. Like, probably I should do that. And I know a few other people that probably should be doing that. But yeah, so that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Okay, so there's definitely anyone that wants to write has the ability to write within this system.
Mm-hmm.
Are they limited to certain like the Realms of Terranoth? Are they limited to that, or can they write within? Can they create their own world using the Genesis system and put that up on the Foundry?
Yeah, so absolutely they can make their own setting. They can use Shadow of the Beanstalk or Realms of Terranoth also. There are, of course, you want to read if you plan on doing it, you want to read the agreements. There are like a couple of properties in that area that are called out as not being available because I imagine because they partnered with people on them and so they don't maybe have all the rights. As far as Fantasy Grounds or Fantasy Flight may not have Fantasy Grounds. Fantasy Grounds is cool too. That's not what I meant to say. But aside from that, yeah, you create your own setting, and also a little different from DM's Guild and a few of the other like creative markets is that you keep your whatever is your IP that you brought to the table. Still, it belongs to you.
Okay,
it doesn't belong to them. If you go on DM's Guild, one you can't create your own setting, right?
Yeah.
But whatever story you create there, you put it out there. That stuff belongs to Wizards of the Coast now.
Yeah.
But that's not the case on the Foundry.
On the Foundry, okay. So, if someone's looking to get into that, what can they expect to get paid for that? I mean, what kind of percentage are they looking at? Drive Through has their own cut. DM's Guild, they get a different percentage. 50% for DM's Guild is what you get to keep as a writer.
Yeah.
On the Foundry, how much do you?
I believe that one is also 50%.
50%.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So then, I was going to say something, but for some reason I forgot.
I don't know why you forgot.
Yeah.
It's like not like you're being distracted there. So you've done a lot of writing. Not only things we can't talk about. Tell us about some of the stuff that you've done on DM's Guild. I know you've done quite a bit of work there. I've done quite a bit of work with you on the DM's Guild.
Yeah, for sure. We got the Kyber Chronicle that we're doing together. That's based around providing content, adventures, and content for players and stuff for the Eberron setting. excited to get back on.
We are going to get back into that
on track
one.
on that.
Yep. It's been a crazy summer.
there,
It's been
so-
for everyone.
Yeah, for sure.
So we're definitely moving forward on that one.
Those conventions, they add up. after
Yeah,
a while,
they do.
And then just those adventures there with for the Adventures League CCC program. I think I've got 3 or 4 that I've written or co-written, and then another 30-ish that I've helped produce, like editing and kind of organizing and keeping track of deadlines and herding cats, as they say.
Herding cats, yeah,
So,
for sure.
yeah, it's been pretty awesome experience, actually. I really appreciate the opportunity the Wizards has given us there to do that. So really appreciate that, and it's kind of it definitely has helped me develop my skills as a writer and everything. So yeah, it's really good. Then this is not what you asked, but something that's helped there is I've done if you've seen out there, Ashley writes. Ashley Warren's got this RPG workshop that she does.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. I think it's. I don't want to say a price because I can't remember it, and I don't want to be wrong. But it's affordable.
Yeah.
And it's a really good kind of self-paced, but within, they run like a semester.
Come on, Daddy, come on, let's go.
So within that time frame, you kind of have freedom of course you have freedom when you do what, right? It's not graded or anything. It's just guidance.
It's just guidance.
Okay.
All right.
Ready.
Okay, so gotta love it. Few little breaks here.
Yeah.
Yeah. We love kids.
Yes.
Yes. We've got 4. I know. So
That's a blessing.
talking about let's go back to the RPG workshop.
Oh yeah.
Daddy, my sister, tennis ball.
Okay.
So the RPG Writers Workshop.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're kind of talking about that a little bit. You're saying that it's just a great way for to get guidance and to get things like that, right? If you're looking to jump into it, it's a great place to kind of start.
Definitely, yeah. And they provide also some mentors. So on their Discord, they've got mentors that can be assigned to you to help kind of answer questions for you. It's got a great community there anyway in the Discord where you can just ask generally, like, hey, I had this idea. What do you guys think? Or whatever. And folks will jump in and help. So, yeah. Okay. This is the nursery edition.
Yeah. So kids are great. My mind's going all over the place right now. So if somebody wanted to get started in writing, let's say they want to jump on D&D is the big thing right now. Let's say they wanted to get started in writing a adventure to put up on there, and they wanted to reach out to you. What could you do to help them out?
Oh, wow. Okay, I could provide all kinds of kind of direct people to different resources they can check out. There's tons of books on writing and not just RPG, but write in general. But there are a lot of RPG creative resources to help someone create that stuff. Kind of can connect them to the RPG workshop or to the Adventures Writers Academy is another one. And I could just kind of give, I'm happy to give advice to anyone or to show them like, hey, here's these locations where there's a bunch of people who will give you advice. So,
okay.
Yeah, for sure.
What would be the best way to get a hold of you?
So probably the best way would to email me at designer@mountogdengc.com.
All right.
So
I'll definitely have that in the little links below.
Oh, cool.
I'll put your contact, the little
doobly-doo.
doobly-doo. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll have that down below. Yeah, Dave. Favorite system.
Wow. Favorite system.
Favorite
So,
system that you play.
I actually was just writing a journal entry about what my favorite system is.
Oh yeah.
And I can't exactly answer it because I see great things in so many different systems, and there's tons of systems that are really great at certain things.
Mm-hmm.
So, boy, I play D&D tons, and it's like my bread and butter of my dinner. But I really love a lot of games. Probably Vampire is really cool. Of course, like systems, right?
Yeah.
Obviously Genesis I really like. I really like Esper Genesis. But we kind of covered those, so didn't want to like repeat it. But probably one that has a special place for me is Palladium's Rifts.
Mm-hmm.
But the system's really bad. Well, that's maybe too. No, it's not too mean. It's kind of bad, and it really needs like a revision. But Kevin Sundiata will never do that. There is a Savage Worlds version of Rifts out there, and that one's cool. So I would check it out if you like Rifts and Savage Worlds. So yeah, that'd have to be the one. Just because in Rifts you can play anything. You want to play some Space Marine guy, you can do that. You want to play a Paladin type of character, it sounds like we're getting locked.
Yeah.
Okay.
You might be getting locked in here.
Yeah. Okay. You can play anything you want. In fact, it has like all these portals to different places. So
Mm-hmm.
you want to bring in the Ninja Turtles, you want to bring in Batman or whatever. You can play whatever you want. So it's really cool that way.
That's awesome. All right. Well, if you have any questions, feel free. Leave them in the comments down below. Send an email to underthewinggaming.com. You can reach us at the website there. Send an email to
designer at Mount Ogden Game Company, GC.com.
Mount Ogden GC.com. Thanks again for coming out, Dave. It's been a great.
Okay.
You've got more
I
to
have
say?
a question for you.
Oh, you have a question for me?
What's your favorite
Oh, my favorite?
game system?
My favorite game system?
Mm-hmm.
What? That's a loaded question. I mean, what are we talking about?
That
Is a loaded
me.
question here. So, I mean, it depends on what are we talking about. Are we talking about mechanics? Are we talking about overall gameplay? Are we talking about ease of bringing in brand new beginners? I actually really enjoyed the Tales of Equestria when I started bringing my little ones into RPG systems. Some of the more chunkier ones, a little more, some of the other systems, Star Trek, it's a fun game, but the mechanics make it a little bit more difficult to play in my mind. It's a little bit harder to explain the way it works when you're sitting down, especially like if you're doing convention play, teaching new players on the fly. But it is a fun system.
Yeah.
But of course, I mean, D&D, I love D&D. D&D's always my go-to. It's the one I'll always want to just sit down and just, run.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
So,
Okay.
but yeah, I mean, like I said, it just depends on what it is you're looking for. A new one that we had one of our GMs running at some of the cons this year. Everyone's John.
Oh yeah.
That one's not even. I mean, that one is completely, totally role play.
Yeah.
And that is just an absolutely fun one. You're not really making characters in the sense that you are with some of the other game systems.
Okay. Yeah.
The whole idea is the GM is John, and everyone at the table is personality of John.
Okay.
And so when you start running, so you start playing the game, and you at the beginning you create your character, and this is what your personality wants. This is your personality objective. You have to get John to do this.
Okay.
And then you start rolling to see who has control with all the players, and if you get control of John, you can make him do what he wants, and the GM just really has to kind of roll with the punches.
Okay.
So it just depends on what it is you're looking for. And
That sounds like a cool game to play as like an exercise in improv especially
Very
for the
much so. Yeah.
GM.
Yeah.
I'm definitely a big believer, and we're not really talking about GMing here, but playing a lot of different systems, especially very different ones.
hmm
This one, what was it called again?
Everyone's John.
Everyone's John.
Everyone's John.
And that was really great. I played Dread a couple cons ago.
Dread's
and that was
another
really
one
cool.
where it's just open narrative, all improv.
Yeah, and so those things are really good to get your muscles, train different muscles than maybe what you're used to. So,
Yeah.
yeah, cool. Okay, thanks for answering.
Yeah. Thanks for asking me a question. I mean,
Yeah.
this is my show, but it's all good.
Yeah.
Hey.
Hey.
No, thanks for coming out, Dave.
Yeah.
If you have any other questions, feel free to hit us up, underthewinggaming.com. You can find us on find me on social media, Twitter, Facebook. I started MeWe. I can't figure out MeWe for the life of me. I was talking to Josh Epperson about this last week. I just don't get MeWe.
Okay.
I just don't understand.
Well, yeah, we can look at. We'll look at.
We'll look at it. All right,
Look at
you're the one dragged me into it.
I think
so.
you don't understand MeWe because you're coming at it from a Facebook place,
Probably.
and Facebook, everything's open.
Mm-hmm.
MeWe starts, everything's closed.
Yeah.
So you're all alone
I was all by myself.
in the dark, like in Babylon 5. But so you have to go in and like open it up, join things, and say who you want to see what and all that. So there's a little more work involved, but it's a trade-off for keeping a little more privacy, and they at least that's the whole platform was built around. We don't sell your data to anybody. So
Cool. All right. Well, thanks again. Thanks everyone for sticking through all of that, and as always, may the dice be ever with you. Thanks so much.